Namaste and welcome to our third video introducing our wonderful practitioners in this community of holistic practitioners group. I will also be sharing this on my business page. So just so you know, those who are listening, I have a private community of holistic practitioners group. And these little videos are introductions of the people in that group, what they offer, a little bit about their background and how they got here. And so we've been having these spontaneous conversations, which have been quite exciting. Before we begin, though, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. And in case any other Aboriginal elders come across this video, I acknowledge you, as well as I take this moment to acknowledge my ancestors and the wisdom keepers of all the traditions that I feel very blessed to learn from. All right, let's take a moment. If you're watching this video as well, take a moment with us just to become present, to feel your feet on the floor or whatever surface you are sitting or standing on, and to notice the breath as it flows in and it flows out. Feel your connection with the earth beneath you and the sky above you. And we always have the support, the unconditional support of Mother Earth and the unconditional protection of Father Sky. And we're just coming out of a full moon as well, the wonders of the natural cycles. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to hand this over to Aradhana. It's my pleasure to introduce Aradhana. We haven't met until this moment. So I'm excited to hear about a little bit about what Aradhana offers in terms of her current offerings. Maybe we will start with that question, Aradhana. What do you do?
Namaste from my side too.
Yes.
It's so nice to meet you as well, Anjali, even though this is our first collaboration. So thank you for the opportunity. In terms of what I do, I'm actually a yoga teacher, a mindset coach, and will be finishing or getting my certification for Reiki Master next week as well, which is very exciting. So it's all about holistic wellness for me, similar to yourself, Anjali, and I feel like this is a great space to be in where we can help ourselves heal and also our clients and the community really heal, feel and love life in every way that they can.
Yeah, that's a really important point that you made, Aradhana, that it is ourselves healing. It is it's a parallel process, I suppose. When I'm working with clients as well, I don't see myself as above. Like, we are on these parallel journeys where we are accessing things that support ourselves. And I imagine, similar to myself, you then want to share that with other people, right? Like, this is what's worked for me. This has been really powerful in my own journey of healing or supporting myself to wellness, and then that's what we share. So tell us a little bit about how you got here, how you got to this place of being a yoga teacher and getting into energy healing and starting to share that as a business, because I imagine it's quite a journey to get there.
Yeah, 100%. So I've always had some passion in wellness. I'm not one to go to a doctor. I'm always like, how do I heal myself internally? And even, a naturopath was something I would have gone to like 10 years ago. But on my own personal journey where I have experienced some form of trauma, whether it was through relationships or just my own inner critic that was consistently comparing myself to others and also judging where I am. There's the social norm of when you're 40 or getting close to 40, you're like, what have you achieved in life? And that kind of was a bit scary because everyone's like, you're not married and you don't have kids and all of those things. And I was like, And does it matter? So a lot of those questions, or societal expectations and judgment, if I can say that word, was actually very harsh on me, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not where everyone wants me to be, but is that what I want for myself? So I went down a massive rabbit hole, and I was like, what kind of life do I actually want for myself? And that led me to really work on my own inner demons, and slowly shed those layers of judgment that I had also put on myself. And in that space, it was a matter of actually balancing my mind, body, and soul. So I was always into yoga or some form of meditation, and even though I wavered away from it for parts of my life, because again, being Indian, it was one thing that wasn't always favorably looked upon, including me doing meditation with a previous partner. He's like, what are you doing? And I kind of disowned a lot of parts of myself until really the last 3 years, where I was like, no, I don't want to be this person who has to hide the true essence of what makes me happy and who I am. So I started down that path of actually getting healing through Reiki, because again, I'm into energetics, I'm into natural healing. And then I found that the biggest blessing of Reiki healing is all about connecting to yourself and self-love, which is also a form of self-healing. So my passion is self-love, or encouraging self-love to others. So it just fit naturally in terms of my messaging and what I want to share with the world. And then yoga, just natural again. I love going to classes, and I thought this is something that I want to learn more about properly, so that when I do talk about it and share the wisdom of yoga, and not just the yoga postures that are commonly known, especially in the Western world, but things like ahimsa and, the yogic principles, I think are really precious to me. And wanting to teach it from its essence was really important for me as well.
Mm.
So that's why I became a qualified teacher. My intent is to share that knowledge in its purest form as possible.
Wow. Um, there's a few things dropping in from what you've shared, Aradhana. But first of all, on a personal note, it's always lovely for me to connect with other Indian women who are not married and don't have children.
Welcome to the club, right?
Welcome to the club. Hey, selfishly, I just find, especially in cultures like ours, where individual identity is not encouraged, certainly not if you're a woman.
Yes.
Your identity is only allowed as an extension of a man in
Yeah.
some shape or form, as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, you know. So it's exciting for me to hear, but also, I think there's something in that choice that leads us towards self-healing.
Yeah.
I think there's something in that choice, right? Like there's something in that decision to not follow what the formula that is fed to us
Yeah.
as a standard narrative. When you question that, or if you go against that, I think you don't have a choice. You have to do the healing work,
Yeah, exactly.
because so much of healing actually looks like releasing conditioning,
Yeah.
releasing the stories that were told to us as the truth, but they are just one truth for maybe one person or one kind of person, but
Yeah.
it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
So really lovely to hear that journey reflected back for me, Radna, because as I have shared, like I'm also, I mean, I call it single and child free rather than childless,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's less of anything.
No.
And I really, yeah, I guess I honor that journey in you, because there is a lot of cultural brainwashing,
Yeah.
uh, and that tells us that we should not be happy with who we are
Yeah.
without, this particular formula that is sold to everyone.
Yeah.
Who, let me tell you, most of my Most of those people who did follow that path are not happy anyway. So I don't see why that's still such a hard sell.
Yeah.
Um, so that
And
was
it's
one.
that tag, right? You don't necessarily, if we strip back everything, like what am I and who am I, is not defined by being a mum, being A, B, C, D. It's defined by how you feel. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, how do I feel? Do I go to bed at night happy and at peace?
Yes. And also the other thing that comes up, well, that has come up for me in my personal journey is the idea of purpose.
Yeah.
Why am I here? In
Yeah.
in terms of the most important spiritual questions that you'll ever ask yourself,
Yeah.
who am I?
Yeah.
Excuse me, being a very important one. Who am I? The deeper you go, the deeper it takes you.
Yeah.
Where am I? So where in my life am I? What stage, what phase, right? And the third one is, what am I here to do?
Yeah.
Like what are you here, what are you called to do that only you can do in the unique way that Aradhana has been created to be here on this planet, right? And so coming back to what you shared as well, I really enjoy seeing people of, well, I was going to say people of color, but specifically, I enjoy seeing Indians in the yoga and wellness space teaching yoga. And, I don't mean to sound, derogatory in any way, but as an Indian, as I said, these come from our culture, and it is the spiritual wisdom of our ancestors. And so it's really lovely to see a person from that ancestry actually teaching and sharing, because it is not just an exercise. And that's what yoga has been reduced to, asanas, as a physical practice. It is not a physical practice, it is a way of life and being in the world. And so those philosophical concept of ahimsa, and so on, they are integral to the practice of yoga. And if you are just doing the asanas, then you are just doing an exercise, which is also great. It's
Yeah.
good for the body, lots of benefits in terms of flexibility and strength. But yoga means union.
Yeah.
Yoga means a coming together of mind, body, heart, soul, and the universe around us. It is all one.
Yeah.
We are all one.
Yeah.
And so it's, again, I find that most of the Indians that I know who are practicing in this space bring that holistic, the fullness of the wisdom and of the science and technologies of the mind and body. That's what yoga is to me. So exciting to hear more from people like yourself who are from the lineage and teaching in this space. So where to from here in terms of what you would like to share more of with our audience, but also what you might want to share about yourself and your own journey of getting to this place now where, you mentioned you're getting your certification in Reiki next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, where are you now and where are you moving to, and how have you come here? Maybe too many questions, but I will leave it with you to decide which you want to answer.
Sure. So I think my passion is helping women, definitely. And that's not that I don't coach men, I do, but it's women because they, and from experience, so I have experienced domestic violence, and I'm, open to sharing now because I have done the healing work. I was raped when I was quite young. And all of those things have only come to the surface and been able to be healed through my own journey. And I feel like women think that they're not good enough because of things that they've experienced, and they feel like they don't have a place in this world outside of what we just discussed earlier, as in I can only be a mum, I can only be a wife, or a partner. And yes, those things are beautiful. Yes, those things are important for the evolution of the world. However, if you're not happy as yourself, it's really hard for you to be a great mum or a great partner or a great anything to anybody else. So for me, that was the one thing that I keep coming back to, is like, how do I want to actually show up in this world, not only for myself, but also for others? And that was the thing that really led me to understand myself a little bit better, and also work on really healing my own trauma. It's like, why don't I like being hugged? You know, as an example, when someone hugs you and they've got beautiful intentions, there's nothing wrong in it. Why don't I like that? Why do I find, you know, the male species, even though I've been in relationships, very hard to deal with at times? Like, do I feel like I can't trust them? And all of those things have been really important for me to understand, because again, how you feel, what you feel is also the kind of people that you attract into your life. And not that there is anything wrong with anybody. Everyone is teaching us something, and there's a blessing for every single connection that we do make. But I felt like I was attracting a different vibe to what I wanted in my life. And it was really understanding, what do I want, who I am, again, as your question, who am I? I'm someone who wants to be happy. That you know, if we simplify everything, yes, I'm a soul, we can take it to a philosophical level and all of those things, but in today's life, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and the past is not going to keep defining me anymore. I'm today here to be happy and to actually spread that happiness and joy to others. Like, that's what I feel is part of my purpose. And to be able to do that is actually to help women understand that they aren't defined by all these labels that keep getting put upon us. So if I meet you, I want to see you smile. I don't need to know, like, are you wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton? It's like a label, right? Or are you a mum, you're a doctor, whatever. None of those things really, really define you. It's like who you are as a person, your essence is, I think, the most important thing to me. And I want to lead by example in that space. So Reiki, as I said, I will be able to teach students Reiki in future. And I feel level 1 is the biggest blessing you can give yourself, because it's all about self-healing. And once you learn to self-heal, or to really connect to yourself, and healing has a bad connotation to it. So I just want to change that narrative a little bit. We're not broken. There's nothing wrong with us at all. It's a matter of actually really connecting to the depths within ourselves, which is to actually love ourselves unconditionally. So that is what I really want people to understand, is that healing is allowing you to shed those layers of conditioning, whether it's generational conditioning, cultural conditioning, and actually return to your own true essence and be happy with who you are, irrespective of your color, your weight, your gender, your racial. None of those things actually define you. As I said, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. Like, you're wearing a beautiful jacket, right? I don't know what brand it is. Does it matter? No. I see a beautiful smile on you, and that's what I'm actually connected with, right? So that's what I really want to, as I said, lead by example and teach whoever I can in, you know, in our community about, when you see a person, take them for who they are, appreciate and love them for who they are, not for they don't fit the criteria of A, B, C, D, because whose criteria is it anyway? Who are we to judge someone else? Like, do we want to be judged? Probably not, right? So it's like, let's stop judging others, but firstly, let's stop judging ourselves, because when you're happy and content within, you don't actually judge others. You actually see them with that love, right? So that's what I am focused on in my mindset coaching as well, which is essentially to help you heal your inner judgment, and also judgment of others, to bring you inner peace. Because once you stop actually judging others for those labels that you think they should be fitting into, you see them as a beautiful human being. And if more of us can get to that unity and connection, as you mentioned earlier, that oneness is about community. It's about love. It's about connecting on a more deeper level, rather than the superficial social level that we are conditioned to do, right? It's like, I'm going to be friends with you because I can actually get something from you. No, I'm going to be friends with you because I want to be friends with you, or I see a beautiful connection that we can have. Let's see how it goes. And even if it's one chance or, a season or years of friendship, everything is totally fine. And I think we need to really stop defining what is okay. There is no okay or not okay. That polarity in yoga, yin and yang, like we need both to balance ourselves out. And I think that's the most important thing, that if we can start to learn from each other, is like, you're okay how you are, I'm okay how I am. Let's bring the good side of each other and actually help each other heal, feel, and love more, is like what I would like to be known by, if it comes down to, what your legacy is. It's like, that's what I feel my legacy, that's what I want my legacy to be. So I am working towards that. I'm openly taking clients to help them with their mindset. Yoga and Reiki are definitely part of the coaching. So I teach you breath work, I give you simple asana, but also use the other limbs of yoga. So ahimsa, which is all about non-violence, is really, really important to me, and probably the foundation of my coaching. We're not criticizing each other, we're not comparing each other, we're not judging each other. We're accepting each other where we are today. I would like you to accept yourself where you are today and actually start that journey with love. And the acceptance part's important, because externally we're like, no, we're not okay. But internally we are actually okay. So I do bring all three pillars into my coaching, because it is about holistic wellness. It is about holistic healing. And it's also about helping you create transformation that's sustainable. So I don't want an overnight win for you that's not sustainable. You're going to feel highs and lows. And even though life does have highs and lows, for me, it's about teaching you how to connect back to yourself. So when you are having a low, it's like, okay, I can do a bit of breath work to help myself in this situation. When I'm feeling great, how do I radiate that love out to others? So really, again, that polarity is important in the coaching that I do, and why I bring Reiki and yoga into my coaching as well, and why I also went down that path. Because for me, that mind, body, soul connection brings you the balance that, ultimately does bring you happiness and inner peace.
Hmm.
So hopefully that answered your questions. Why?
Yeah, wow. I think we just need to take a breath together and just
Yeah,
let that all sink in. That
yeah.
was a lot. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself, Aradhana. I really honor the journey that you've been on. Um, Something that sort of coming through as I was listening is, and I see this with my clients as well. I work as a trauma therapist, and I work as a psycho spiritual within a psycho spiritual model, and there is these threads that somehow connect trauma and spirituality. It's like when we start to heal from the trauma, it
Mhm.
leads us towards these questions, right? Like, who am I?
Yeah,
Why am I here? And there's this concept of post-traumatic growth.
mhm.
Um, so, trauma can uh, be an experience of breakdown, but in that breakdown, there's an opportunity for breakthrough.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
when you break through and come over to the other side, what I've witnessed in myself as well as my clients, and what I'm hearing reflected back in your story as well, Aradhana, is that in choosing, because it's a choice, we can either choose to remain a victim
yes,
and carry those wounds with us our whole life,
yeah,
and as you said, be uncomfortable around men, or have particular triggers, or like, oh, I don't like this, and you could have chosen to be like that your whole life, and a lot of people do, and there's no judgment there, because not everyone is chosen for this path as well. That's another piece that has been coming through for me in the last decade, I guess, because sometimes we can have those um, I guess expectations maybe that, oh, everyone who has trauma or everyone has wounding needs to go on this particular journey, but
Yeah.
it's not the path for everyone. However, everyone who does choose it
Yeah.
ends up with, this kind of story where you turn your darkness into light.
100%. Yeah.
That these painful and traumatic experiences that broke you,
Mhm.
and that there has to be some kind of breakdown of the ego in order for us to go deeper.
Yeah.
That ego breakdown takes us into deeper places, like, okay, if you strip all of this away,
Yeah.
what is left?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
what is left? And then when you can relate to yourself
Yeah.
from that place, you can relate to other people
Yeah.
from that place. And for me, that's what spirituality is, because I mean, you mentioned that in relation to healing,
Mhm.
but I think the word spirituality as well has lost its meaning in a way. And for me, spirituality is about how you treat yourself, how you
Mhm.
treat the people around you, and how you treat the world,
Yeah.
right? There are these three relationships: our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to others, and our relationship to the cosmos and the planet and nature and all the natural cycles. And if the work that you're doing, whether it's for yourself or for other people, if it's not changing that,
Yeah.
then I don't know what you're doing, right? It's maybe going into spiritual bypassing
Yeah.
and all these wonderful concepts that are great, but how is it changing how
Yeah.
you are treating yourself, how you're thinking about yourself? Like, it's funny how um in the end it all comes back to love.
Yeah.
It
100%.
all comes back to love. I'm on the verge of launching a program that's all about this concept of divine love,
Mhm.
because love is not a transaction, but we have turned it into this transactional thing. I'll do this for you, you do that for me, and this is how this friendship is going to work, or you scratch my back and I scratch yours. And it's this very transactional model, um, which I think maybe, is probably part of the model of capitalism and consumerism, which is all about exchanging of, I give you this much money for this service.
Yeah.
But love is not that.
Yeah.
Love is an ongoing connection and relationship and acceptance and not judgment, and all of those things which I'm hearing in the work that you're doing, not just in the work that you're doing, Aradhana, but I really feel an embodiment, like you're walking your talk.
Yeah.
Because I tune into that, like I tune into the embodiment of a person, how much words, actions, behaviors, energies are in line and in sync. And I really get, like I'm keen to connect with you after this chat, because I'm like, I would love to because I choose to have people like yourself in my life, and I would love to get to know you some more, because I really get the sense of um, you're doing it. You're doing the work that you're offering. It's not just a concept or an intellectual knowledge. It's lived through your body, through your cells. And
Yeah.
you're speaking from that place of embodied, purpose-led, soul-driven. So really, it's such a pleasure to meet and connect and have this many reflections, because in the end, we can only see in others what we see in ourselves,
Yeah.
so it's really, I'm like salivating again. I get kind of very juicy,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, juicy soul connection. And it's really an honor as well to hear about, you know, your journey, and you named some things that are really powerful to name, and I want to acknowledge your courage in doing that in such a kind of, like, it really shows that you've done the work,
Thank
that because when we're able to talk about our trauma, it shows how far we've come and the work that we've done in turning that into gold. You
Yeah.
know, there's this concept of the golden shadow. Like we hear about shadow work, and shadow work is bringing material from the unconscious, which can be dark, but it can also be light and shiny and golden, because clearly you are coming in into your gifts, yeah, your offerings, your anjali. Right?
Yeah. I
That's what
love that. So beautiful. That's
that
why
for
we're connected, right?
for those
Amazing.
listening, yeah, Anjali is your gift. Like, what is your divine gift? That's what Anjali means. And it's taken me bloody 4 decades to finally get to this place of owning that in myself as well, because my gift is guiding other people to their gifts,
Yeah, I love
because
that. And
people don't see the light in themselves. They don't see that there is this divine gift in you that only you can offer based on your lived experience and your journey. And that's the sense that I have, is that's what's coming together in this business, in this offering. That, before we started the record, you mentioned that you're stepping into this and you're transitioning into this, and I'm salivating as I'm saying this, because it's so juicy for you, and I'm so excited for you as fully step into this path
yeah,
of offering holistic, heart-centered, love-centered services. And yes, the modalities are the framework within which we offer these things, but really what we're offering is love,
yeah,
is come back to love,
yeah.
come back to soul, come back to spirit. This is what you're here to do. And I'm so excited to present this video. I want to finish up this recording and edit it and share it with a wonderful group of holistic practitioners, and on my business page as well. If there's any last things that you'd like to share, Aradhana, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to
Um,
share?
Thank you for the opportunity. I actually really appreciate it. And likewise, similar to your name, my name, Aradhana, means prayer. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Again, similarly, it's taken me a long time to get to where I am, but I wouldn't want it any other way. And I think that's the messaging that I do want to leave with everybody, is that your journey is your journey. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And like once you start to embrace who you are, there is a lot of light in this world that we can spread and have within ourselves as well. So feel like you are enough, because you are enough, and like let go of the onion layers slowly, unravel them, and you'll come to a place of real contentment. And that's my biggest desire for anyone. So whoever I get to connect with, I hope I get to spread love to you and give you something nice to remember.
Mhm,
That is my intention. So yeah, I'm more than happy to connect with whoever would like to.
mhm.
I'm sure, Anjali, you can share my contact details. Otherwise, please reach out.
Yes. We
And
will be sharing, we'll share your website or whatever your socials are. We'll share that in the comments below. So anyone who's watching this video, if you have any questions or comments,
yeah,
please feel free to put them down under this video, and Aradhana and myself will respond. Um, Feel free to share this video. Feel free to, continue these conversations, because that's the point of making these videos as well. Yes, it is to introduce and to connect, and for me, selfishly, to have these opportunities to connect with like-minded souls. But it's also to open up these conversations, and to take some of the stigma and that kind of taboo-ness, and oh, trigger warning, and no, we these are like trauma and violence, and healing and spirituality, and these are all conversations we want to demystify.
yeah,
These are part of who we are in the world, and how you relate to these words says more about you than the words themselves, because that's one of the other things that I really enjoy from the spiritual traditions, which is this idea that words are merely pointing to things. They don't actually express the fullness of those things. Like, we use the word tree to describe a tree, but the word tree cannot possibly contain the magnificence of a tree.
Yeah.
But we use it because we don't have any other way of saying that this thing that is growing out of the ground, that's reaching towards the sky, instead of saying that, we call it a tree. So, like, words are just words. They're
Yeah.
just pointing to experiences. And, it's been such a pleasure to share these words and this space with you today, Aradhana. I feel like maybe ending with some kind of chanting or some kind of breath work, or is there anything that comes
Um,
to mind that we could do together?
do so to finish with an om would be really special because that is
Perfect.
connecting us with the universe. So
Perfect.
if you want me to lead, I can.
I would love for you to guide us. Yes, please.
So for all of our listeners and for yourself as well, Anjali, just feel comfortable in your seat. And if you feel comfortable to do so, close your eyes as well. So we're going to take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. And then take another deep breath in. And on our exhale, we'll chant the mantra Om. So one more inhale. Om. And as you slowly open your eyes back into the room, I wish you a wonderful day. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for those watching. Anyone else in the group who would like to do one of these videos, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you, Aradhana. And yeah, have a wonderful day.